So we're talking about not talking and telling us how good you are and what you think you are and all that. Show us. Showing's greater than telling. And that's for all the boxers out there. You can say all the chitty chat, you can blah, 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 blah. What you really need to do is just prove it in the ring. Get in the ring and show us. Once you show us in the ring, we're cool. See, Mayweather could say what he wants to say. Pacquiao could say what he wants to say because they proved it. They showed us in the ring. So it's up to these young guns, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, to show us. Y'all can chirp how much you want. Show us. Face each other. I ain't facing nobody. Shout out to also, shout out to everybody else out there. Now, Tank Davis ain't showed us shit. He said he wants to face Teofimo Lopez and he wants to face Josh Taylor. He said he would beat both of them. I don't want to hear that. Show me. Show me you can beat them. You guys chirp too much. Show me you can beat them. Face them. Show me. Talk is cheap. Show me. Right? Same thing for Teofimo Lopez. Talking about Devin Haney's easy work. All these guys are easy work. I'm the king of the division. You're the top dog in the division. Nobody's saying no. But show me you can beat Devin Haney. I don't want to hear your word. Talk is cheap. Show me you can beat these guys. Shout out to whoever this other person is here. So we have Wang Cho said Tank has already shown. No, he hasn't. Wang Cho says he will beat Thurman at welterweight. Again, talk is cheap. And you can't talk for Tank. And you can't fight for Tank. Tank had to fight for himself. So you can say whatever you want to say. The talk is cheap. Till we see him. And he shows us he can beat Keith Thurman at welterweight. It don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. We can make prediction videos and all that shit. They got to get in the ring and show us. Show me. Don't talk. Show me. Fans like to do that too. They like to talk for a fighter. Listen, it don't matter how much you talk. What's going to be is going to be. You understand what I'm saying? So, you can say, oh, you can trash talk, you can talk how much you want. At the end of the day, it's up to that fighter to get in the ring, face the other fighter, and show us that he's all his fans say he is. Okay? Talk is cheap in boxing. Now, if you got a record or a resume, and then you call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, whether it's Carissa Shields calling herself the GOAT, whether it's Manny Pacquiao calling himself the greatest, whether it's Floyd Mayweather calling himself TBE, whether it's Corey Spinks calling himself Silky Smooth, whether it's Mark Too Sharp Johnson saying, I am the best defensive fighter. If you got some record to back up what you saying, we got to go with it. That's why we got to respect the legends, because the legends actually did shit, right? They actually did something. So when they have done something and they have a resume and a record, they can say anything they want. Mike Tyson said, they can't handle me. Mike Tyson can say whatever he wants because he's got a record. You know, even though he came up short with the bigger fights, you know, he got a record. He used to slay people, you know what I'm saying? He broke some guy's jaw and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Wang Cho says, I'm not saying to fight for, I'm saying Tank is a pupil of the greatest skilled boxer, Floyd Mayweather. It don't matter. It don't matter. He could be the pupil of Pernell Whitaker. He could be pupil of Charlie Burley. He could be the pupil of the greatest boxers of all time and sit down at their feet. He still got to go out there and do it. You got to go out there and do it. Talk is cheap. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, having a great teacher is good. That's cool. And having a great mentor is cool and all of that. You know, but that don't mean he going to beat these guys. He got to show us. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, Mark Too Sharp Johnson. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm just calling some names. You know, I don't know if you guys know this dude. What's his name? It's another great fighter. He'll come to me. Great Argentinian fighter. Not Carlos Monzon. You know what I mean? So all I'm saying to people is, show us. We as fans, we want to see it. We could talk how much we want up the wazoo. Until we see it, we can't really vouch for you. You know what I'm saying? You got to go out there and do it. Jaron Ennis is a future too. He looked like the future, man. He looked like the future. He got all kinds of skills. He could switch it, all that. Virgil Ortiz, etc. They all good. But what I'm saying is, and the proof is in the pudding, right? You've seen what they could do in the fights. Because they went out and they did stuff in the fights, we could say that. But don't get it twisted. If he make a claim, he said everything I do is better than Terrence Crawford. And he's saying that. He's supposed to say that, right, as a young fighter. But until he faces Terrence Crawford and beats him, he can't persuade everybody of that claim. You get what I'm saying? As a fighter, you're supposed to be confident. You're supposed to say, I'm supposed to beat this guy. I'll beat this dude. I'll beat that guy. You're supposed to be confident. You have to be confident in the ring because you're going in there into war. What I'm saying is, talk is cheap. If you're just chirping and you're not doing nothing, you ain't facing nobody, then it really don't matter. See? Now, some fighters, nobody want to face them. Nobody want to face Demetrius Andrade. We know this for a fact. Nobody want to face Devin Haney. We know this for a fact. Nobody's itching to get in there with Gary Russell Jr. We know this for a fact. In his division, featherweight. Right? But what we got to understand is, we can't go out there and say, well, Gary Russell Jr. would beat all these people and he beat this one and beat until he gets in the ring with them. You know what I'm saying? Now, they may be ducking him, but it doesn't mean that they're going to beat him, that he would beat them. You see what I'm saying? Guillermo Rigondeaux is another example. They duck Guillermo Rigondeaux like the plague. You know what I mean? Now, it don't mean that he would beat everybody, but they know he's a tough fight. You know what I mean? Terrence is getting up in age, and I don't think he can compete or win against Jaron Ennis. He's too big and crafty for welterweight. I mean, you're looking at the eye test, so I see what you're saying. I get where you're coming from and everything. But what I'm saying is, until Jaron Ennis gets into the ring, that's just an opinion. You get what I'm saying? When you actually go out there and do it, then it becomes fact. And what we really care about is seeing fights. As fans, we want to see fights. We want to see matchups. That's what we really care as fans. That's what we want, right? We want to see Jaron Ennis versus Terrence Crawford. We want to see every single combination of fight we could get to see from the top guys. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, talk is cheap. You can say whatever. You might even believe what you're saying. And you might even be true when you actually end up fighting. But until you get into the ring and face these dudes, I really don't care what you say. Because me, I'm going to be a fighter very soon and getting in the ring and having to put it up, it really don't matter what I say going into fights. It don't even matter if you take my advice or not. My advice is mud. You know what I'm saying? It's mud. Why? Because I ain't got no ring and I ain't put on my gloves and I didn't box nobody yet. So ultimately, in the end, we could talk how much we want till we blue in the face, and some of it might make sense even. But at the end of the day, talk is cheap. You got to get in there, and you got to do it. And after you've done it, you can talk because you did it. You get what I'm saying? I want to go down that road because of two things. One, I realize sometimes that some people just never have experienced boxing. They never boxed a day in their life, and they say some really ridiculous things that are just like so ridiculous that I decide, let me keep my mouth shut before I get really angry. You know, because it's not only misinformative, but it hurts the sport when people say dumb stuff. Now, when boxers say dumb stuff, you know it's because, you know, they probably have a bias or something, right? You know, because Roy Jones Jr. said some dumb stuff recently, and it was just dumb. And I knew Roy just probably don't want to see Tyson Fury versus Usyk. That's all. And he thinks it's going to be a certain kind of fight. But he's entitled to say that dumb stuff because he actually attained the highest level of the sport, so he can say anything he wants. You see, some people can say anything they want in boxing because they have already been there, done that, right? But for people like me who really haven't done nothing in boxing, it's kind of precocious for me to say, oh man, you talking nonsense. Even though I do say sometimes that Roy talk a bunch of junk. I think he must be punch drunk or something. But really, it's not my place to say that because I haven't shared the ring. I haven't gone in the ring. I haven't done nothing. You see what I'm saying? We're just fans, though. Fans are free to say whatever they want, but not necessarily everything they want to say is sensible. You know what I mean? Wang Cho says, how do you think about Usyk at heavyweight? I picked AJ. He said, let me reread that. Wang Cho said, how are you think about Usyk? How do I think about Usyk at heavyweight? I picked AJ to win the fight. I picked AJ to win the fight. I was surprised at Usyk when he won the fight. Okay, so he was another one that was surprised. I wasn't really surprised. Like I said, I picked this fight to be a 50-50 fight. It was kind of like, not really, but it was kind of like a 50-50 fight up to the 8th round. Usyk was really leading out with everything, you know what I mean? AJ was like lagging behind, but I wasn't surprised. I knew what Usyk and Michael Hunter can do. I've seen them in action and stuff. And then Usyk had that southpaw advantage. And if you just think about it, there's not many southpaws at heavyweight. You got a handful of southpaws at heavyweight. So, all that alone should tell you everything you need to know. So I wasn't surprised, no. Do I think Usyk could become undisputed? Absolutely. He could become undisputed. But it all depends on how the politics of boxing go. If Fury wins this fight with Wilder, will he go straight into a fight with Usyk? I don't know. He might take a stay busy or something. So let's say we have to assume Fury beats Wilder. If Wilder beats Fury, then the question is, will Wilder go after Usyk? I don't know. Both guys, Usyk has a certain degree of skill where he can give both guys a lot of problems and beat both guys. He's very capable of doing that. Will he? I don't know. But he's capable of doing it, And vice versa. Both guys have some tools available to them that can become handy and can give Usyk problems. But I think more Usyk will give them problems because Usyk's a southpaw. And because Usyk's a southpaw and heavyweights don't really see southpaws so very often, I think he'd give them more problems than they would give him. I think Tyson Fury would be the most challenging because of his length and reach, but I think Usyk would neutralize those things. Usyk and Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter doesn't get the recognition and the rightful praise that he deserves, but Michael Hunter's right there with Usyk. Yeah, people, that's all I got to say. I'm going to catch you guys later. Shout out to Wang Cho for passing through. Shout out to you, brother. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Check out all the other information on the channel if you like it. Wilder's fight and KO Ortiz 2 times, but different styles. Well, Ortiz was a southpaw. He did KO Ortiz, but Ortiz gave him a lot of problems as well. In the first fight, Ortiz almost stopped him. And in the second fight, Ortiz was winning basically almost every single round. So, if you think about it, Wilder wasn't really as successful as he thought he would be against Ortiz. Ortiz is nowhere near has the footwork or the continual motion nor the craft that Usyk has. Usyk's like the best southpaw at heavyweight right now. Oh, cool, man. You subscribe? Cool, man. Check out the channel, man. See if you like different things. We're right now in the community section. We're going through the welterweight division, but I got other things I'm showing. Canelo versus Caleb Plant. I think that's a 50-50 fight, as I think Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford. So I call those fights 50-50. I also thought that Usyk and Joshua was going to be a 50-50 fight. I couldn't predict a winner, so I said, you know what, I'm just going to leave that alone. And those are the two fights I just talked about. The same thing. I think they're 50-50 fights. Just based on what these guys present, they bring to the table. Porter could easily